Welcome back. And one of the more important discussions also to have today will be with the local government situation. Over the weekend we had elections happen in Ogun State as well as in Lagos State, and of course the outcome is more predictable than ever. You had the ruling party in both states clinch the chairmanship as well as councillor seats. But the big story around what happened with the local government election happened around what exactly did we seek to achieve. The State Independent Electoral Commission, which is the body responsible for the conduct of elections, not INEC, has taken a lot of flack in the way the elections were organized. There was low turnout in both states. Worse, both states usually would have low voter turnout for elections, but this one was in a different dimension. We had less than 1/5. We're still waiting for the final figures in Lagos. We may never get that number, but instead of over 500,000 people did vote in that process. But people are asking questions about the state of the Independent Electoral Commission, as well as with participation of the people in the local government election. What sort of powers the State Independent Electoral Commission should have? People are asking maybe INEC should also get involved in it, even though they do get involved in the local government election, but more of at an advisory and technical level rather than conduct the poll. With us this morning, we have a fine array of guests. In Lagos here, we have Segun Ige. Segun Ige is a journalist as well as a public affairs analyst. Good to have you join us on NewsHub this morning. All right. Together with Segun Ige, we have a number of people joining virtually in Abuja. We have Jeff Ojinka. Jeff Ojinka, a former member of the House of Representatives. Great to have you join us, Mr. Ojinka.
Yeah, thank you. And
excellent. And we have joining us in Port Harcourt, Tamunor Williams, who's a legal practitioner as well as a political scientist. Great to have you join us, Tamunor Williams.
Oh, wonderful, my pleasure.
Excellent. And in Ogun State, Bankole Akinloye is a public secretary of the People's Democratic Party. He'll join us at some point in time if he's not there already, but whenever he joins us, we'll then introduce him. Great to have all you gentlemen join the conversation this morning. And I'll begin with Jeff Ojinka in Abuja, so former member of the House of Representatives. I'm throwing it to you because you probably will understand the workings of the National Assembly better than any of us here. In understanding the criticism the State Independent Electoral Commissions have faced in the conduct of local government polls. People saying they simply rubber stamp in a process. Rather than an election, people have called the electoral process for the local government chairman, chairperson, or councillor, call them coronation events. What are your thoughts? Should it go to INEC or should the State Independent Electoral Commission continue to conduct these polls?
What has just happened is still rekindling that call, numerous calls by Nigerians for the scrapping of the State Independent Electoral Commissions. From the level of the turnouts, and then is an indication of the loss of confidence on the people in terms of the umpires, the state umpires in terms of the conduct of the local government elections. So, times without number, the National Assembly has tried to amend, has attempted to amend that provision of the Constitution. But it has never seen the light of the day because of the state governors and the state legislatures. They've insisted on making sure that the State Independent Electoral Commission has existed. In fact, that inclusion in the Constitution is one of the major reasons why people call for restructuring. It was envisaged that the states are federating units, so they are autonomous, they can now go and conduct the elections. But at the same time, on the other hand, the states cannot control the economy, they cannot control their security, they cannot control anything. For you to conduct that election, you need the police. And the state doesn't control all those apparatus of security. So I don't know, in terms of logistics, in terms of what it takes for them to conduct such elections, they don't have what it takes to conduct those elections. And it's also a waste of resources. In the conduct of that election, the voters register they need, they will have to get it from INEC. If they have to use the electronic voting system, they have to get the materials from INEC, and all the rest of them. So it's really, this last election calls for a total scrap, call for immediate scrap. In fact, if, in this constitutional amendment going on now, it should also come up again, and they should scrap the State Independent Electoral Commission without a waste of time. It's a waste of time, waste of resources, and waste of our time. People didn't go because they felt that it will waste their time. Because of yesterday, before the election, a lot of people started making some jests. They will say, I can predict what the election will be. And that they use words that this particular party will sweep. The other one say, we flush. This other is just, and it turned out just to be the same thing. So it's a mockery of democracy. And I hereby call for the immediate scrap of the State Independent Electoral Commissions. If at the end of time we restructure and we are going to use zonal structures for our so-called federating units, zonal structures as federating units, then at that level of the zonal structures, they can now have that zonal independent electoral commission to conduct local governments that are within their zone, taking their zonal peculiarities into consideration. But the present states, as constituted, cannot. In fact, there are some states that can't pay salaries. Is these states that can go to conduct these elections? There are so many states that what they get at the end of the month cannot pay their salaries. They can't. That's why, as we talk now, most of the states are run under these transition councils, and they are not democratic. So, without wasting time, Nigerians, I think I urge the National Assembly not to waste time this time around, and for all Nigerians to move that we scrap this State Independent Electoral Commission. It's just a mockery of our democracy.
Ujenika, I beg your pardon for that opening remark. We'll get back to Mr. Shegun in the studios in a moment, but let's talk about the law that established the State Independent Electoral Commission that's in the Constitution 197 subsection 1, and which has empowered state governments across board to set up and conduct the elections. Let me speak with you. You're a legal practitioner, Tamuno Williams, who joins us from Port Harcourt studios this morning. This law is in force, and so until there is an amendment, as Honorable Ujenika stated earlier on, it has to continue, and that's what we may have to run to. The local government elections are the closest to the people. They are, in fact, through the instances where people can feel the impacts of democracy in the country. Do you think it should be outlawed, as been called for by Honorable Ujenika?
Essentially, what we have now is what is in our constitution, and that is the effective legal regime. Like the Honorable said, the citizens, Nigerians, seem not to like what is happening. But I want us to recall that this particular section 197.1, was not there before 1999. Before now, the National Electoral Commission was conducting elections for both state, federal, and all that. It was Nigerians that clamored that because Nigeria is a federation, to be appropriate that the state should conduct the election. So the people's wish prevailed at that point in time. Now, my take is this. The law has been enacted, it's been practiced, and it seemed not to be serving the purpose. And whenever an instrument, a vehicle does not serve the purpose, the vehicle has to be changed, modified, or completely thrown away. Now, that's the legal aspect. Now, the law is supposed to serve the interest of the people. My question is, what is the problem? Is it the law or the people? The people are the problem, not the law. Now, in Nigeria, we have a very dangerous political culture. Our values are denominated by Naira and Kobo. So even if you create a family electoral commission, where members of a particular family have to conduct election, when the values that is prevailing in that society, in that family, are are wrong, you can never get a good result. Now, the INEC we're talking about, is INEC able to conduct free and fair elections? The answer is no. So I think that it's much more than amending the law. You know, there has to be commitment. We have to evolve a more progressive political culture where the citizens are able to participate and hold their leaders to account. It's not just INEC. If you go to family meetings, you go to town councils, you go to churches, whenever you have to choose people to lead, the culture pops up. There will be chaos. There will be court litigations. There will be killings. You are aware that a particular church for the past 10, 15 years is unable to bring out a leader. You are aware that in most churches, that I'm a Christian, and in some other climes, even markets, to get a market leader is a problem. Look, our problem is that Nigeria has moved from the people who are civilized to people who are highly ethnic or highly self-centered, egocentric. So my take is that the law was well conceived. The law has no problem in itself, but implementation of the law has been very unproductive. So the way forward is not just change the law. You change the law, you give it back to INEC. The pressure will move from RISEC to INEC. And I can tell you that these governors who control the resources of the state will do everything possible. And mark you, no governor goes to the field to do election. It's the people that go to the field. Yes, we know that in Ogun State and Lagos, we have seen a decline of participation. In other climes, when election participation is below a particular level, it means that even the outcome of election is not legitimate because less people took part in the election. The government said, what is happening? With our own case, like the first speaker, the Honorable said, before the election was conducted, people knew the outcome. And it's not just in Ogun and Lagos State. It is so in all over the 33 states that when a particular party is in charge of the state, the law is circumvented. Let me just make this point again. Election, it's not just a day event. I keep saying that. Election is a process. It starts with the appointment of the Electoral Commission, the composition. The moment you put in people who are qualified superficially to be chairman and members, and they are there to undertake the will of a particular person, election is ended. Next one, that you recruit ad hoc staff. Gentlemen, when you bring your party people, your daughters, your wives, your houseboys to become return officers, what do you expect? So my take is that ultimately, the law is there. It's good to have a state electoral commission to do election in the state. However, Nigerians, the politicians, but the entire citizenry appear not to take seriously their duty to make sure that they follow up, that they take part, and they stand by to contest when election result does not reflect the wishes. But in case of RISEC, it's a matter that is cut and dry. That's my take.
Thank you very much, Terminal Williams, for the opening there. We're going to go on a quick break. We come back. We'll continue the discussions with all our guests in all our all our locations. Please stay with us. Welcome back to NewsHub, and the discussion we're having is with the State Independent Electoral Commission, and in the eye of a huge storm, especially in Lagos and Ogun State, over not just the outcome of the election, but total participation of the electorate. And we're having discussions, Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt, where we're having a great gentleman join the conversation and provide and distill some of the factors which have worked against the State Independent Electoral Commission rather than for them. Jeff Ojinika, former member of the House of Representatives. You know, Jeff, last week we had the National Commissioner for INEC, Chairman Voter Education and Publicity, Festus Okoye, with us. And, you know, we'd asked him the question, what was the role of INEC with the State Independent Electoral Commission for the conduct of local government polls? And he said, you know, they come to us for the voter register. Some want the card readers if they want to use. Some of them also ask for logistic, so they can move vehicles. They sometimes want technical support. So by and large, they offer them a lot of support on the sidelines. But Would you say that it's been enough? When you look at Lagos and Ogun, almost all polling units did not get their electoral materials at 8 a.m. and so did not begin on time. And this is just one of the hiccups they faced in the run-up. You think that maybe with a little more support they can dot the I's and cross the T's better, Mr. Ojinika?
Well, I wouldn't even want to thank and commend Lagos and Ogun State governments for even making an attempt to conduct the election. In other states, they are not even making any such attempt. So that's why in majority of the states, they are being presided over by interim management committees, transitional councils, as the case may be. So Lagos and Ogun need to be commended for even taking a step, in the right direction of trying to democratize the various local government. But the fact remains that even from, as my colleague in Rivers State said, that the election is a process. Who are the people that constitute all these state independent electoral commission? They are political cronies who, in Lagos and Ogun, in some of the local governments, there are about 18 political parties that should participate in that election. At the end of time, you only see about 3 or at most 4 political parties participating. What does it tell you? It's an indication that that system, nobody has confidence in whatever thing that they are doing. Because you cannot, an election that you can easily predict what the result will be is no more an election, it's a selection. So from all indications, in terms of what is needed, our national economy cannot, for now, tolerate the states conducting their independent election, that is having all their materials, all their logistics supports. It will be an infringement on the Constitution for them to go to rely on INEC for all those reports, because the Constitution provided that they should not be on the direction of anybody. That's why they are independent. They shall not, limit their operations by virtue of other external bodies influencing whatever thing they do. So, by and large, the summary, the synopsis of everything is that the states cannot conduct such elections for now because of the needed infrastructure, for it. They don't have it. So, and the framers, as he said, that the framers of the Constitution, as of now, it was Abdul Salam that promulgated that decree and the Constitution that we have now. And that's why people have been clamoring for restructuring. I think the basic philosophy behind it was that the states are the federating units, and the federating units should be here. But the states, as it is, are not the federating units, in the sense that they don't control their resources. As long as the state control their resources and they maybe donate the excess to the federal, they can be in position to have enough logistics for them to conduct such elections. And if you also ask me, in an economy, in a population of 240 million, to have about 37 electoral bodies, EMBs, independent, it will be a waste of in a country that a lot of people don't have job, a lot of people earn below $1 a day. It's not an economy that can promote such a thing. So looking at it both from economic, political, and from every perspective, I think the realistic thing that we'll do is that I would like to urge all Nigerians, everybody should come up and demand for it, that let that body be scrapped off for now, and let the conduct of elections. Any state that is ready to, they conduct their constituency elections. State constituencies, elections, they do it for into state assembly, so at the same time, they can also do the same. Any state that a vacancy exists, they will apply to INEC and they will come and conduct the election. Whether it's not easier. The way the control is done in the state is not as easy as that at the federal. Because you see that the National Assembly, although not now, the National Assembly seems to have a better, seem to be more independent than the state assemblies. Okay. But it's only time will tell.
All right, Honorable.
So I still clamor, I still call that we will take advantage.
Honorable Jeff Ojenika, we'll come back to you to really get your final thought on that particular one. But in the studios, we've had all this while a journalist with us who does the roving journalist when it comes to covering elections across the states. Journalist Segun Ige. Segun, once again, nice having you on the program with us. You want to share your experience with us covering local government elections?
Exactly. I was at Ikoyi Obalende area where the...
On Saturday?
On Saturday,
okay.
Exactly. Where the Lagos Central Senator Oluremi Tinubu cast a ballot. And then I observed that it was actually two parties who actually was on the ballot paper. You get that APC and the PDP, no APGA, no any other political party. And then she was asked why was the low turnout. And then by one of TVC's journalists anyway, and then she remarked that well, it was suggested that do the citizenry actually need any form of sensitization, sort of, and then she remarked that no, I don't think there's any form of sensitization that is necessary, especially in a overtly uninterested political, discourses in Nigeria. And so she said that it is actually a sort of misunderstanding from the citizens of Lagos in particular, and that I also noticed how she was, a bit reluctant in saying it was actually two parties that were, on the ballot paper.
Did you see the ballot paper yourself? Did you vote there, or it was what the electorate told you?
What one of the officials told me, that's what they said. They said it was actually, and she herself confirmed that, I haven't voted, I haven't cast a ballot. So I feel that this sort of uninterestedness in voting at the local polls is not something that has to do with the state INEC to be scrapped, as as some people have been saying or have been suggesting, or that the federal INEC should now intervene. I don't believe in that, because I believe that the federal INEC itself is not independent, right? So the state INEC itself is the chairman, the members of the state INEC are appointed by the governor of the state. So I feel if a governor is dutifully bound to appoint a chairman or members, I feel the governor ultimately has the supreme power, right, over the state INEC. And the same thing goes for the federal INEC, which is the president. Yeah. So if you are then suggesting that it should be scrapped, or that the federal INEC should intervene because of the gross, lackadaisical attitude of the state INEC, I believe if you are saying it should be scrapped, I be about other constitutional provisions that are not even satisfying, Nigerians and all of that. So
we'll come back to it, but I'm sure you did have conversations with people to find out why they prefer to play football on the streets, especially people of the younger age that go and cast their ballots. Some of them even close to the ballot areas. Exactly. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, continue our discussions on the State Independent Electoral Commission. The jury is out. How well did they perform with the polls that happened on Saturday? Please stay with us. Welcome back, and this to touch our home base and make the home run as quickly as possible. We have such a big topic. We've been pressed for time throughout the entire discussion this morning, from the security to this one. Segun Ige, journalist as well as public affairs analyst. We have Jeff Ojenika in Abuja, as well as Tamino Williams in Port Harcourt. Segun, very quickly, the voter turnout was worse. It's been bad in Lagos before, but this was even worse than the worst. And interesting, I did do a snap poll while on radio just to get the perception of people before they went out to vote. They told me things like the results, like Jeff Ojenika talked about, the results had been decided already. They said things like they had no idea any polls were happening. They didn't know who was campaigning, so they were not going to even vote for anyone. So many of these factors unfortunately played out on election day. And someone told me that people will be shocked and embarrassed to imagine that if some of those new parties had actually mobilized, they would have even won councillor seats because the margins were so little. 100 here, 50 here and there, in places where you will have thousands. What do you have to say?
Okay, I feel there's a widening gap, right? The gap or chasm between election and selection has increasingly widened in the Nigeria political spectrum. So when you talk about electioneering, I believe it's typically becomes selectioneering. Yes, because you know what? So that's why most Nigerians are rather reluctant, right? Going to the polling booth to cast their vote, because they already know that, come what may, who is going to lead has already been selected. So what's the essence of going to polling booths to cast their vote and all of this? So this gap recently on Saturday has obviously widened, the gap between electioneering and selectioneering. So I believe is a hierarchical problem. It's a hierarchical problem in the sense that, we are saying, okay, state INEC is perfunctory, state INEC is not performing as it ought to be. Why? Why? In my opinion, I actually believe that the state INEC cannot operate independently of the appointer, right? That is the governor. That's my own opinion. So I believe anything the chairman, the members of the INEC have to do or has to do, I believe it has to emanate from the acceptance and from the approval, right, of the governor. So in essence, I am of the opinion that, so when Senator Oluremi Tinubu was saying that okay, it's because the citizens have misunderstood the essence of democracy, and that this is their only opportunity to exercise their essence, the essence of their right, the power of their civil power, right? Because the youth complain about bad governance, they complain about maladministration, they complain about a lot of misdemeanor, right, in Nigeria's politics. So she was saying then that well, this is an opportunity for them to actually exercise their right to say no to what they have actually been yearning for all the time. You get that?
We will come to you to wrap up because of time. Let's speak with you, Tamuno Williams in Port Harcourt. In all of this, some people argue that the federal government has deployed a lot of resources into ensuring that INEC is of utmost efficiency when it comes to conducting elections. Then why can't INEC really fuse with state electoral bodies and then they become one and then conduct elections? Why should state electoral bodies still exist while INEC is just sitting and providing support? Where do you see this headed? 2023 is around the corner. Some other pop-up elections will be held in Anambra is coming in November. So many other elections are coming that are not even that. Let's just say local government elections will be coming. Some states are not even going near it as we speak. What's the solution? Not even going near it as we speak. Not even going near it as. Not even going near it as.
I didn't quite get your question.
All right.
I couldn't get it clearly. I didn't quite get your question.
All right.
I couldn't get it clearly. I didn't quite get your question.
All right.
But I had solution.
I think we have to get back to you, Mr. Tamuno. There seems to be some kind of hitch there, a technical glitch there for us. Honorable former member of the House of Representatives, Jeff Oginika, we have to go at this point in time. What would you look forward to, since the Electoral Act Amendment Bill is still around the corner? It's yet to be passed. And maybe this is something that is not on the table for discussion, that's the issue, but the people should be the ones whose voices should count. How do we address this? But the people should be the
as to clamor for the giving the role to the INEC, it doesn't also mean that all is well with INEC. There's a lot of things that should be done in terms of strengthening and making the INEC to be truly independent. So, in that respect, we want to urge that INEC takes over the conduct of local government elections, and but INEC should also be strengthened. INEC should also be made to be independent, and then composition in terms of putting people into the Independent National Electoral Commission should also be made to be transparent, not the likes of the previous nominees that people had to reject, which was an embarrassment to everybody in this country, that people that are so politically entrenched to be appointed into INEC. So we claim, let the constitutional amendment so reflect that the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, takes over the responsibility of conducting election into the local governments. They already have the structure, they have everything to conduct in about all the existing wards in the country. So the only thing that is required is just for collation at various levels for you to have, and the councillorship election, collation will be at the ward level. In that of chairman, the collation will be at the local government level, and that's all. And INEC has been doing, perfectly so well but it doesn't also mean that all is well with INEC. A lot needs to be done to make INEC truly independent.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Jeff Ojunika, former member of the House of Representatives. It's always a pleasure having these discussions with you. Tamino Williams, thank you very much also for joining the conversation with us from Port Harcourt. Discussions with you. Tamino Williams, thank you very much also for joining the conversation with us from Port Harcourt. Thank you. You have yourself a fantastic weekend. Shegun Ige, journalist as well as public affairs analyst, it's a pleasure speaking with you. We hope we can get you and drag you by the ear. See if you can help shed some more light in the great work you do for us as the people. Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right, so that's how the cookies crumbled this morning. We want to thank you so much for making us your choice. We apologize for the glitch towards the end of the show today. You know we tried the best to bring you the best ever on the program. So what we do again tomorrow, 7 o'clock, we'll be here to bring another exciting edition of NewsHub, informative, educative, and enlightening as all the time. So have a beautiful week. I am Shun Weidiji.
And I am our Carpe Diem. Tranquilo.
What is that one from you?
Tranquilo, tranquilo. It's Italian.
Olympic. What?